Welcome to the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship podcast, a tour through Fab Labs and makerspaces across the world to learn about the best practices in teaching STEM and equitable, inclusive, engaging outreach. The Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship is a one-year discovery program for outstanding educators to learn about, create, and promote innovative and inclusive programs that teach STEM using digital fabrication and to engage new and underrepresented student populations in STEM education and careers.
Hello, my name is Pieter Verduijn. I'm an educator and maker from Aruba. I wear many hats as I teach on the International School of Aruba, co-founded Makerpedia with my wife Teresa Montanarello, and I collaborate extensively with Branches Lab and the Metabolic Foundation in Aruba. I'm also thrilled to share that I was selected to be the Chevron FAB STEM Fellow for 2023. So why did I take this journey and apply for the fellowship? Well, I'm a curious soul at heart, and as an educator and maker, I've always been eager to explore the incredible world of maker spaces and share our knowledge with fellow enthusiasts. The Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship is an opportunity that is really truly one of a kind. It allows you to embark on a global adventure, visiting Fab Labs all over the world and connecting with amazing minds. So my goals for this fellowship are quite clear. I'm passionate about integrating STEAM or STEM education into the curriculum from kindergarten to grade 12. And I believe that nurturing creativity, problem solving and innovation is essential for our students, and the fellowship provides the platform to explore innovative ways to achieve this goal. Well, enough about me. Before we continue, I want to express my deep gratitude to Chevron. They have been incredibly supportive of us fellows, making it possible to visit and learn from educators worldwide. Their commitment to advancing STEM education is truly commendable, and I'm super thankful for their support. But today, I am at the Santa Clara High School. We're actually recording this in between the woods in a shop-bought room of the Fab Lab in Santa Clara High School. And we're guests with Laurie Toyama, and she runs the program here. So I'm going to ask you, Laurie, could you introduce yourself and provide some background on what you do here and what is the makerspace and the Fab Lab about?
Sure. Laurie Toyama here. I'm actually a software engineer, program manager for a long time. And I thought, I don't want to be an engineer for the rest of my life. And so I took a little walkabout, and I, prior to this job, I was working at NASA Ames, training teachers on how do you take NASA material and then bring them to the classroom. So how do you take real NASA experiences and teach that to the kids to get them engaged? And then a friend pointed me to this opening at Santa Clara High School, and it is for the 49ers STEM Leadership Institute. It's a school within a school program here in Santa Clara Unified School District. It's a 6-year program, so the students start in the 7th grade and continue on through 12th. And the students here are also cohorted for math and science. And I've been their program manager now for going in my 7th year.
Oh, wow. 7 years already. So you say school within a school. So I can imagine for a lot of people that would be like, what's that? So can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Our students are cohorted for math and science, and they take classes with the rest of their school for English and social studies and things. And then we also have our students beyond school time, what we call extended hours. And so we're like a mini school within the school structure. Their teachers that are their math and science teachers also work with them for the extended hours. So that's why we call it a school within a school.
Okay, so you have your own set of teachers that are helping you in the Fab Lab. How does that work a bit? Because I imagine they also have to teach their content. So
yes, definitely. So they teach our SLI students, the 49er STEM leadership students, and they teach the regular classes with the rest of the student faculty and student environment. And so they teach our classes and regular classes and same kind of content. added thing is the STEM students will come into the Fab Lab and do projects that are part of their curriculum in biology, chemistry, even the math, algebra 2, and pre-calculus.
I love it. I love it. So we come like to the core of a little bit of like how to get like the integration of STEM education into regular curricula. What is actually the skill set of the teachers that come here?
The teachers have to be open to learning the digital fabrication equipment in the Fab Lab. They have to kind of be a little bit of a maker. They don't have to be core makers, but I can train a teacher on the equipment as long as they have an interest. And if the teacher comes in with the attitude of everything is figure-outable, I can do this, then that's the main thing, is that will help the teacher be able to integrate their projects into their classroom.
So not all the teachers that you work with do have like all the skill sets. They don't necessarily have to be able to start in 3D designing or in programming.
That's right. Anybody can do this, and that's the beauty of it. You have to have an interest. You have to be able to account for the time. It is project-based learning. It is multi-week, so you need to know how to pace things out. But adding that additional making, hands-on making, is something the teachers have been very thrilled about with the students because they can see the transference of knowledge and skills. You know, the students are like, oh, this is what you mean by blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, that really is a parabola when I kick the ball and it makes a curve. And oh, yes, there's an equation to that. So it's like, yes, there's parabolas in the wild and you can figure it out.
I love that. I love that. It's like the real world experiences bringing back into the classroom. So my next question is, we have like this intersection of digital fabrication, fab labs, and education. What is the part that you find really compelling and why?
I think part of it is having the teachers be experienced with their curriculum and then bringing the making into their curriculum. So we always say they kind of start with a paper replacement. So something a teacher had been doing with paper, drawing something, graphing something out, they can now do one level up with the equipment by taking it into the Fab Lab and taking it to the laser cutter. So it's a paper replacement, and that's a good starting point of teachers coming into the lab. And even doing what you may think is a simple thing like that, having the students, because it isn't just take a picture and take it to the machine. They can't do that. They have to go to CAD first, and then CAM, take it to the machine and have the machine create the thing. And that is an additional skill. Like the steps to do that is engineering, in my opinion. And that's great for the students to learn that.
So I imagine we have some listeners that are like, okay, we want to do that too. So when you started the makers of the Fab Lab here, or the program here, or you actually took it over, but what can you share with other people that maybe want to do this too? Like, what are some effective or successful practices that you did?
Yeah, so the teachers definitely have to come with the mindset of everything is figure-outable. And then also starting with that paper replacement, that's a first step. And then so don't try and bring in some big 3D printed project right away. You want to start slowly and build it up. We have a project we do in the 8th grade, the geometry class, where the teacher started with a tessellation. And, it was just drawing a tessellation. You can do that as a normal part of your math class. Then he got it to a point where they were laser cutting it, and then they would create several pieces and put it all together. Then he got it to a point where it was a stamp, and then the students could create their own tessellation. And that took a period of 3 years, over 3 years, of moving from a paper replacement to a point where the kids really felt like they were really making good use of the laser cutter to create stamps to do their tessellations. So it's a process. So start at some point. That's a paper replacement, easy to do, and then build from there. Don't feel like you have to do the final thing right away, because that's not a good way to approach it.
Yeah, it's like a slow way of building up the skill set of the teachers. Now, if you want to become like part of this SLI program as a teacher, it's gonna cost you more time than teaching your program the old-fashioned way, so to call. How do you get the teachers actually motivated to put in that extra time?
Yeah, that's always a very big sticking point. Luckily, the district, and in cooperation with our financial partners, the sponsor, one of the big sponsors is the 49ers Foundation. They pay the teachers for their extra time. So it's a teacher collaboration time. It's also paid by the district, and then they're paid for their time for the extended hours. So yes, the district, through the funders, put in money to help pay for the teacher's time.
All right, so that's super good. I like that you already shared like a couple of things that really do work, but as you know, not everything works as we planned it up forehand. Can you share us some like practices, challenges, or approaches that didn't work as well as you had planned them?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. We make the kids reflect on their projects, and we teachers do the same thing. If we did a project or an activity and it didn't quite work out the way we had expected, we definitely do a reflection. Oh, what happened there? What could we do to make it better? We take notes on it. We have a curriculum page for everything we do, and we put the notes in there so that next year when we do this activity again, we have the notes that of what changes we want to improve upon and put in. A lot of it comes down to scaffolding information. We expect the students to respond a certain way, and they don't quite. And it's like, I think we need to give them a little bit more context and background in order for them to go in the direction that we want them to. We have to allow for the students to do iterations and learn for each iteration. Sometimes the students think we're just making them do this for the heck of it. And even prototyping, it's like, what? I have to do a prototype? Yes, you have to do a prototype because you will learn something from this prototype. And then you will put it into the next iteration of your project or prototype or whatever. And so we teachers try and implement that as well. Each iteration we do, even sometimes on the fly in the middle of an activity, it's like, okay, this is what we're learning. We need to incorporate that into the whatever project it is.
Yeah, so it's not like for the teachers itself and for you itself, it's like a learning process as well. So it's not like, I hadn't planned for this, so we're not going to do it.
No, not at all. In fact, every session we have, we do a debrief at the next collaboration. Like what worked well, what didn't work well, what can we do differently next time? And then we take notes. That's very important to take notes, because by the time we do this again next year, we would have forgotten. We're like, hey, something happened last time. What did we say we were going to do?
So how do you regulate like the note taking? I mean, do they have like a old-fashioned paper notebook, or how do I envision this note taking of the students?
Well, the schools are very big on all the Google products, Google Suites, and so we take extensive notes. We do a planning, note taking, and then we'll even tag some people on it so they get an email, and then we keep a running schedule of everything we're going to do, and every year we create a new set of documentation. So we label it, school year 24, school year 23, so we can go back and find old things. So we have folders. It's organized. We have to keep it all organized. We have a folder for our schedules and agendas, and a separate one for curriculum and different things. So organization is key for this kind of things, and taking notes so we can all contribute.
So to enhance the impact of, including STEM in the curriculum, so what are your thoughts on the steps or strategies that should be taken?
Well, to start, you really actually don't need much other than a mindset that it is a stepwise thing. It is a multi-week thing. And just having that kind of mindset going in, I think will help you plan and stretch things out over time. It's basically a time management kind of problem. and then dividing that up into sections so that it's bite-sizable for the students. And so it lends itself to STEM because STEM, we think of STEM as having a very logical kind of stepwise thing, but it can apply to any subject. And I would like to see the processes that we use in makerspaces and Fab Labs applied to different subjects that are non-STEM as well, and get more kids involved with that kind of stuff. You don't have to, I know we're a Fab Lab and stuff, but we don't have to start with fancy equipment. We can start with cardboard and paper cutters and cardstock and canary cutters and things like that. And it's the whole, building something, creating it from nothing, is what I think helps engage students.
Nice. So it's not like you have to immediately start with a makerspace filled with fancy equipment.
Exactly.
I like that, especially for areas that are less developed. There's still a possibility for them to build the same sort of curriculum. Spoken about that, like you guys do that here. How's it in the area with other makers around? Do they have similar programs, or are you guys unique in what you do here?
Yeah, different schools and organizations have different kinds of programs. They're more like a separate from the school curriculum. So we don't see too much integrated things. There are a few schools, mostly private schools, that have integrated into the curriculum or a separate subject that is just engineering in the STEM zone or Fab Lab. So yeah, everybody has their own little unique twist on it. I have a friend who's in a school district that it's a charter school, and these kids are not terribly engaged with academics, but she created a program called Sewing is Engineering, and she makes them do a little stuffy monster, and she says you can hear a pin drop where all the kids are engaged hand sewing their little stuffy monster, even the guys, because everybody wants to make their little thing that they can show off and be proud of. And that to me is engaging. You got to get those kids like that, get them involved. And she doesn't say it's sewing, she calls it Sewing is Engineering, so that, you can tell the guys, it's not just sewing, it's engineering. You're actually using skills that can be useful in other areas, in the STEM areas even.
Do you, that was my question, it seems like you're kind of alone in what you then do here. Obviously, there are some similar programs, probably around California or the States, but what would you preferably want to do to spread more your approach to STEM within the curriculum to the makers and the schools around the area here, especially the Bay Area? Just focus on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was in engineering, we were always collaborating, not just within our company, but other companies. We'd go to conferences, we'd meet other people, we'd write and read papers and things. School education is very insular. You stay in your school, you stay in your subject area. And so Monday night, we had the maker meetup, and so we had the Bay Area makers from all the different schools in the San Francisco Bay Area come together, and everybody kind of shared a little bit about their programs. And we need more of those. We need those kind of maker meetups where we can share ideas. Definitely the pandemic kind of put a hold on a lot of that. We used to get together monthly, and now we need to revive that. And just sharing with other people and collaborating with other makers in the area, I think, is going to be key. Then you don't feel as alone, and you can share ideas. And that's the way to keep it going and keep it exciting for everyone.
Yeah, you mentioned the pandemic. We're basically now a post-pandemic era already. What kind of changes because of the pandemic do you see within the STEM education?
Yeah, this is where I think making is really key, because we see a lot of apathy and lack of engagement in students after the pandemic, a lot of distraction. And so if you can focus that fidgetiness by having them make things, having them see how their knowledge can be transferred from the curriculum to this project that they're making. I think that's the way to get back to having students interested in their subject areas. I think making is the key in this post-pandemic world to get the kids interested in school again.
Absolutely. Based on your experience, what kind of last lessons do you have? I hope a lot of educators will listen to your wisdom. Do you have any do's and don'ts for them?
Not so much don'ts, other than safety in a fab lab kind of area, but lots of do's. The whole mentality of everything is figure outable. The other thing that we do with our students all the time is we teach one student some machine, and then they have to teach somebody else. Because when they teach someone else, they learn. And we've also done that across the grade levels. So the upperclassmen will be teaching the younger grade levels. And they've started going out to like elementary schools now and bringing like egg drop or robotics or something. And, it's fun for the kids, the elementary school kids, getting them interested. They've never saw this robot kind of thing before. Well, we're introducing it to them. And the upperclassmen, they're, very enthusiastic about it, and it's a near peer kind of thing. So it's not an adult really teaching the younger kids. And I think there's a little bit more connection that way. So the cross grade level helping each other out, helping the older grades, helping the younger grades, and just getting everybody involved in making stuff is the way to go.
I love that.
So, Peter, I have a question for you.
Oh, bring it on.
You've been here a week now. You got to meet some of the other Bay Area maker educators. What's been some of your insights and takeaways? What are you going to take back with you to the International School of Aruba?
So, yeah, that's a good question. I came here specifically to see, that was my main thing that I chose to visit you, is to see how you use the curriculum, how you use the makerspace as an extension to the curriculum. I was really curious about that because I really believe that this is the future of education. And what I've learned is how you used regular teachers to bring those teachers actually into the classroom. As far as I'm doing it right now, I try to do it too, but except that as I am the extension of try to be the extension of the curriculum, is I'm teaching the lessons myself. And what I've seen here is that the teachers are, the boss over the curriculum, and they come in here still teaching the same subject and the same project, and then you're more the facilitator, creative mind, the extra hands for the teachers to help them actually achieve their projects. I also seen how you guys collaborate, I think 3 times or 2 times a week, 3 times a week, where you take about 45 minutes at the end of the day just to talk with each other. What are you doing? What are your ideas? Brainstorming about new ideas. That is something I definitely will take home. But also the positivity that you guys have, and people, you haven't seen how the kids work here, but as soon as the students come inside of the classroom, you have an engagement of close to 100%. And that, as a teacher, is truly remarkable. And I really think that's because of the enthusiasm of the teachers that are coming in here, but also the way the classroom is set up as something that I will bring home and will try to implement myself.
Cool. We look forward to hearing more about that.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for telling us that. I think it's super important what you guys are doing here. So I would say keep on doing this. And last word, I also want to again thank Chevron for their generous support of the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship. And I would say goodbye and until next time.
The Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship is a one-year discovery program for outstanding educators to learn about, create, and promote innovative and inclusive programs that teach STEM using digital fabrication and engage new and underrepresented student populations in STEM education and careers. The program is inspired by Chevron's social investment strategy and the global Fab Lab network, both of which foster innovation, learning, and invention. Fab Labs, with their suite of digital fabrication tools and prototyping machines, including laser cutters, 3D printers, vinyl cutters, and milling machines, are inspiring young people across the world to learn about science, technology, engineering, and math STEM. These are safe and accessible places to play, create, learn, mentor, and invent. The fellowship awards a stipend of $10,000 to each selected educator to use toward creating and disseminating new, inclusive practices in STEM education and hands-on impactful making. The fellows will visit a few Fab Labs of their choice anywhere in the world to learn, to reflect, to co-create new curriculum and disseminate new practices. Their work will be published in podcasts, online blogs, and through talks and presentations at conferences and educational events over the coming year. For more information about this podcast series and the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship Program, please reach out to us at cvxfabstem@fabfoundation.org.